Morning. Welcome to Convince Me, the first NFL betting weekend of 2021. Thank God we have made it to 2021, folks. Week 17. It's the most exciting window in sports. It's 11 a.m. Get your bets in. You're going to get some help today. Katie Richcreek, Darren Ravel on the Action Network news desk and convincing me of their three favorite bets, sides, totals, props. Sean Corner, Chris Brabon, Matthew Friedman. Reminder, everything we're doing, everything we're talking about, all the data, all the picks, all of it available in the award-winning Action Network app. I am Chad Millman, your host for the day. Let's get right into the props. First one up, Sean Corner, player prop exclusive Sunday Night Football player prop. Give it to me, brother.
Yes, so my Sunday Night Football primetime prop tonight is Zach Ertz over 32.5 receiving yards. Miles Sanders, Deshaun Jackson, and Dallas Goedert have all been ruled out for tonight's game. You have to wonder if the Eagles are throwing in the towel. If they lose tonight, they could end up with a pick as high as number 3 in the 2021 draft. But however, tonight could be the last time we see Zach Ertz in the Eagles uniform. In week 17, I do factor in motivation when it comes to player projections and props. And I think that could be an extra motivating factor for him tonight. It's also worth mentioning that even third-string tight end Richard Rodgers is also out tonight. So I'm projecting Ertz to run a route on 85 to 90% of the pass plays tonight. I think he's going to be the target hog we're used to seeing Zach Ertz being. So I think this could be one final hurrah for Zach Ertz tonight, taking the over 32.5. And I'd actually bet this up to 40.5. That's how much room I think we have on this prop.
All right, 32.5, as you always do. Give me your range of percentages of what you think the chances are he goes over 32.5.
Well, it's kind of tricky because, like I said, I'm kind of using a little bit of conjecture here with the motivation factor. But I'd say at 32.5, he has a bit over a 60% chance of going over. And in this range, he's a lower ADOT guy, so every yard does matter. But I think we have some range here, so that's why I bet it up to 40.5. But I think he does clear this number tonight. Like I said, over 60% chance at this number.
Corner, it's all about motivation. That's what everything is in week 17. We're trying to figure out what the lineups are going to be, which teams are going to care, who wants to get in the playoffs, who wants to play for the third position in the draft. Like, that's everything. So conjecture on motivation is exactly what we need to hear about. Matthew Friedman, let's see if you can motivate me to side with you.
All right, well, I don't know about that because I like Sean's prop. I literally just went and bet it when he was talking, but I like my prop too. I'm going back to the Jeff Wilson well. I bet on him to score a touchdown on the ground last week. He got so close. He had a career best day with 183 yards on 22 carries. He also scored on a 21-yard reception. Wilson is locked in as a lead back for the 49ers. So I am going over 61.5 yards rushing. The Seahawks are number 10 in rush defense DVOA. So the matchup isn't especially great, but they recently released nose tackle Damon Snacks Harrison, one of the league's best interior run stoppers. So they won't be as good as usual against the run. And this feels like another situation for Wilson to get around 20 carries. The 49ers are down to their third string quarterback. They are missing their top 2 wide receivers. Their number 1 tight end is still easing his way back from injury, and it's week 17. They are underdogs playing a home game in Arizona. They are going to run the ball, and the 49ers don't have running back Raheem Mostert, which means that Wilson is 100% the guy. In his 7 career games with at least 12 carries, he has averaged 80.6 yards, and in his 5 games with at least 14 carries, 101.2 yards and 12 to 14 carries. I think that is his floor. I think this line should be closer to 75.5. At 61.5, it is just far too low.
I can't disagree with you on this at all, actually. And despite the fact the Seahawks are top 10 in DVOA in rushing, their pass defense has just gotten so much better in the second half of the season. And Jamal Adams rushing and blitzing from the backfield, like, to me, that is a passing offense nightmare for them. So I like Jeff Wilson over 61.5. I like both the props so far. Let's see what Raybon can do. Can Raybon convince me to take a prop that I like more than Zach Ertz or Jeff Wilson over their receiving and rushing yards? I can't hear Raybon. Can anyone hear Raybon?
No. You should take Chad. You should take whatever he's saying blindly.
Seriously. That's so true. By the way, I feel like he's giving me a bad rushing prop that is like a guy to rush for less than 7 yards.
Testing.
Oh, there you are.
Oh, he's back. All right. Raybon, give it to us.
You guys here?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay. So, last week I was talking Jeremy McNichols. I said, let's take the under on his rushing yards because he's not going to get a carry. I feel the same way about Deion Lewis in this game. You talk about motivation. The Giants are motivated to win this game, to give him a shot at the playoffs. Why would they give Deion Lewis a carry? He hasn't gotten a carry in 6 of his 15 games. He's been under 7.5 rushing yards in 9 of 15. That's 60%. So I'm taking that under today. His median outcome is 1 carry. He's averaged 3.5 yards per carry since leaving New England 3 years ago on his last 250 some odd carries. So I would bet this down to 4.5. I expect him to get 1 carry, and I expect it to be for under 4 yards.
Corner, I know you have an opinion on this.
Well, yeah, obviously this bet's going to win. And, Devontae Freeman's likely going to return today. But, Chad, you don't want to sit there rooting for Deion Lewis not to get 2 carries, right? So I think you got to go with the over Zach Ertz 33.5 yards on Sunday Night Football tonight.
I do. I agree with you for a couple of reasons. One, I'm going to be big on the Giants today. So maybe I'm foreshadowing a little bit, but I love the Giants. I don't want to be rooting against something that happened for the Giants. I want the Giants to have their best possible opportunity to win. And if that also means having to watch Deion Lewis maybe get a couple carries, I'm going to be totally okay with that. I am going with the exclusive Sean Corner Sunday Night Football Zach Ertz prop over 32.5 receiving yards. By the way, if you want to win some real cash, reply to @Action Network HQ with the total number of receiving yards that you think Zach Ertz will have, and you can win some real money. Darren Ravel, give me some news.
So you were talking about the Cowboys and the Giants. Obviously, an intriguing game. The Cowboys opened at -2.5, went as high as -3. Currently at -1.5. Now, when I look at splits on spreads, I rarely see a deviance of 20% between what's bet and what's actually on the money. But this is one of those cases. At PointsBet, at least, 83% of the money is on the Cowboys, or 83% of the bets are on the Cowboys, but only 59% of the handle is. So obviously, as also indicated in our pro report, the sharps are on the Giants here. And what's interesting is we also found that when we talked to 2 sports books, Chad, one said the money was coming in big on the Giants, and then another said it was coming big on the Cowboys. So that was hard to determine. But this information from PointsBet lines up with what's happening in our app.
Yeah, the Giants are clearly a wise guy play. And a lot of people who are professionals are looking to fade the Cowboys for a variety of reasons. I'm going to fade the Cowboys this week. This is, to me, a smash spot. Honestly, I think Joe Judge is a better coach. I think the defense can hold up against a Cowboys offense that is a bit fraudulent because they've played against weaker competition. But this is a good transition to get into the sides. Sean Corner, give me your side.
So I loved the Rams at +3, but I still like them at a pick 'em. Some places have them -1 now. But the advanced line for this matchup heading into last week was Rams -4. So obviously, Jared Goff and Cooper Kupp being out is going to move the line a bit. The market actually ended up moving it a full 7 points. They crossed -3 and then all the way up to +3. So I thought that was an extreme overreaction. So I locked in the Rams at +3 here. I think Goff and Kupp being out is probably worth about 5 points. So I think it is warranted, a pretty big line move. But I have faith that, Sean McVay is going to come up with a game plan for John Wofford, limit him a bit, make him more of a game manager. And they've had Wofford as the backup all year. So they've, probably been preparing for this on the side for weeks now. So I think they're going to lean on their strong defense. They rank 5th in DVOA. And on the other side of the ball, Kyler Murray's not 100%. He's dealing with a leg injury. We saw back in weeks 11 through 13 when he was dealing with the shoulder injury, he was pretty limited. And the Cardinals went 0-3 against the spread. So I think, him being limited in any mobility sense could hurt this offense. Plus, they have Christian Kirk is out. Larry Fitzgerald looks like he's going to miss. Chase Edmonds could also miss. So those are secondary options that he might not have. So if Jalen Ramsey's able to lock down DeAndre Hopkins, this Cardinals offense is going to be screwed against this defense. So I love getting the Rams still anything under 3. We were talking about before the show that I think the Rams still win this game by a field goal. So love locking them in if you get them at a pick 'em right now.
Love the Rams. Another Giants and Rams, 2 massive wise guy plays. I love when you can start to see the professional markets coalesce around certain teams and you see these numbers starting to make big moves. Corner, I'm glad you pointed out, you like this up to a certain number, even with the Rams as small favorites, but certainly as pick 'em. Friedman, disgust me.
Yeah, you're going to hate this, Chad. It's great. I'm offering you the opportunity to please the football gods. As a Bears fan with a playoff spot on the line, you do not want to bet on the Bears. The pigskin deities will view that as boorish behavior. You clearly want to back the Packers. The football gods will view that as a sign of humility. And everyone knows, Chad, you are nothing if not humble. More importantly, you should back the Packers because it's the smart thing to do. Aaron Rodgers with an MVP on the line. All he has to do is take it to a Bears defense missing 2 starting cornerbacks and Jalen Johnson and Buster Skrine. No one even knows how to say his name. That's how insignificant the guy is, and he's out anyway. His backup has to be so much worse. Rodgers to wide receiver Devontae Adams, that is going to be far too easy in this game. Mitchell Trubisky in a must-win spot in Week 17. What could go wrong? David Montgomery's playing well, but the Packers just added Damon Snacks Harrison, mentioned him earlier, one of the best interior run stuffers in the league. Montgomery might be slowed down just enough by this defense. Allen Robinson is great, but I could see the Packers putting number 1 cornerback Jair Alexander on him for most of the game. Alexander is playing like an all-pro this year. He's number 2 in the league behind only Jalen Ramsey in yards allowed per coverage snap on the perimeter. Rodgers is great against the spread, and within division, he is especially tough, 45-27 against the spread for his career. Basically, he treats the NFC North like family. He's cruelest to those with whom he's most familiar. You should bet on Aaron Rodgers. I think this line should be 6.5, at 4.5, wherever it is. I think there's value here.
All right, so number 1, it did open at 5.5. It's been bet down. The wise guys are coming in on the Bears, another wise guy team right now. And if I were humble, I would not point out that yesterday I faded my college alma mater, the Indiana Hoosiers, at plus, and I bet on Ole Miss at plus 9.5. I'm not sure I can do that twice in a weekend. Number 1. Number 2, I already love the Bears in this spot. I think your take is crap. And there's one thing that you got to be thinking about. Forget about everything else that you just said. The Packers are without David Bakhtiari. So Khalil Mack is going to be in Aaron Rodgers' face all day. So he might have a hard time even getting the ball to Devontae Adams. He's going to have a hard time getting the ball out of his hands because I expect the Bears pass rush to be incredibly fierce, especially when they know they have to protect 2 cornerbacks who are not their normal starters. So I'm not even going to entertain your bet. Raybon, let's see if you can get me off of the Rams and Sean Corner's bet.
Yeah, well, I feel kind of proud because I feel like usually it's Matthew Friedman with the ugliest pick here, but I think I can out ugly all of these picks because I'm going with the Pittsburgh Steelers B team plus 9.5 at the Cleveland Browns. First of all, you talk about the Bears blowing a playoff spot. What would be any more Browns than the Browns losing back-to-back games to first the Jets and then the Steelers B team, who, by the way, is still better than the Jets A team, to miss the playoffs. You look at Mike Tomlin as an underdog in his career, 37-19 against the spread. But without Big Ben, because, Big Ben's sitting, Mike Tomlin is 12-3-2 against the spread, 80% in his career. Last season, the Steelers with Duck Hodges, their number 3 quarterback, without Juju Smith-Schuster, without James Conner, without Stephon Tuitt, beat the Browns 20-13. This game is a perfect example of, if you go read my guy Stuckey's article on the Action Network, he talks about teams with essentially more motivation playing teams with less motivation. And the teams with less motivation tend to cover about 60% of the time. So the Steelers, obviously, they're going to rest some guys. They're playing their B team. I think this line should still be 7. It's 9.5. You may even get 10 at some books. Go bet the Steelers and watch the Browns brown it up.
I don't hate it. Friedman, do you think that is more disgusting than your bet?
Yes, although I do like it, and that's part of the disgust factor that's going into it for me.
All right, I don't hate that bet at all. Friedman's bet is out for sure, but I got to go with the Rams. I've actually already bet the Rams. There's something really intriguing about this matchup, and more importantly, Sean McVay is just a better coach than Cliff Kingsbury. If nothing else, fade Cliff Kingsbury. Fade Cliff Kingsbury with an injured, very temperamental quarterback. Fade Cliff Kingsbury with an injured, temperamental quarterback and only one receiver in DeAndre Hopkins, who's going to get locked up by the number one cornerback in the NFL, Jalen Ramsey, and running resources diminished. I got to go with the Rams here, and I'm going to go with Sean McVay figuring out how to outcoach Cliff Kingsbury. Katie Rich Creek, what's happening on the Action Network news desk?
I have the specifics behind the trend that Raybon just teased that Stuck highlighted earlier in the week. So all three of these picks that the guys just covered were on games featuring teams in must-win situations. That can also mean even if they don't need to win, they need help from other teams in order to make the playoffs. And those teams have covered at a 39.5% rate against teams with zero incentive in week 17 since 2003. And in case you're wondering, yes, 13 of those 38 teams have lost straight up over that span. This also applies to the Titans against the Texans today, Colts against the Jags, Washington against the Eagles, and Ravens against the Bengals. So plenty of games with playoff implications.
Lots of opportunities. Let's hear about some totals. Corner, you're up first.
So I love the Packers Bears under. It's down to 48.5 now. Freeman made a lot of the same points I was going to make. I happen to like the Packers on the spread here as well. But first, so a few reasons why I like the under. First, the Bears have scored 30 plus points in 4 straight games, which is pretty impressive until you see who they've faced. 3 of those teams ranked dead last in DVOA, the Lions, Texans, and Jaguars. So I think the market's likely overinflating the Bears' scoring potential heading into this. Green Bay's defensive line is on fire right now. They have the second most sacks over the past month. Rashawn Gary's starting to heat up, which is a pleasant surprise, along with Zadarius Smith and the rest of this line. So I think they'll be able to generate pressure and force Trubisky into making mistakes today. Second, you mentioned it, Chad. David Bakhtiari's he tore his ACL, so he's out for this game. I think that's going to pose some problems against this Bears defensive front. So I could see Khalil Mack getting in Aaron Rodgers' face. I don't know if they're going to be able to stop Devontae Adams necessarily, but certainly getting pressure on Rodgers and throwing off their timing is one way to do it. And third and lastly is, this game is the slowest pace projection of the week. The Bears ranked 24th in situation neutral pace, and the Packers ranked second to last. So I think this is going to be a slower paced game. I got this under 51.5, but I still like it here at 48.5. I'm projecting it closer to 47. So, 47, 48 are pretty key numbers when it comes to totals. Yep. So I still like it here at 48.5.
Interesting. All right. Friedman, you're getting some backup here from Corner on your terrible Bears Packers bet, but give me your total here.
All right. Well, mine kind of resonates a little bit with Sean's. The game that he's highlighting is a December division game played outdoors. Games like that tend to go under. Historically, 244 to 187 with 13 pushes to the under. Good for an A grade in our Bet Labs tool. I'm looking at another of those games, Pats Jets under 40. And Chad, with a number this low, I'm giving you the opportunity to indulge the part of yourself that really likes to see other people fail, because that's what this is. This is just a big festival of failure. Who's going to score points in this game? Does Cam Newton even start? Cam, who is yet to throw even 2 touchdowns in a game. Jarrett Stidham, does he come into the game? The guy with 4 interceptions to 2 touchdowns for his career. The Patriots are missing their number 1 wide receiver, their number 1 running back, and their number 1 tight end. By the way, no one even knows the name of their number 1 tight end anyway, but still that guy's the number 1 tight end. Who is going to do anything offensively for this team. And what about the Jets? Head coach Adam Gase, quarterback Sam Darnold, this could be their last game with the team. Are they the types of guys who really go out in a blaze of glory? We have two bad offenses and then two defenses that are just good enough to slow the game down. The Jets are 9-6 to the under this year, and the Pats are 10-4-1 to the under. And since week 10, the Patriots are 6-0-1 to the under. Again, I like this number at 40. I think it should be closer to 38. Ugly game.
That is a really good one. And I love the fact that you're playing to the psychological and emotional elements of this game. That is just classic Friedman. Forget about the stats, highlight the psychological elements. That is the way to go. Raybon, I feel like that one's a leader in the clubhouse for me.
Yeah, I mean, never against fading Cam Newton. I've been on that train before, but I am going with an under I really like, and I like this one more than most weeks, so it means it probably won't hit. But Seattle, San Francisco, under 46. Seattle came out this year throwing the ball all over the field, and they started the year with 3 really high-scoring games. Since then, the market just hasn't adjusted. Since October, Seattle's last 9 games, they're 9-3 toward the under. And especially once you had Jamal Adams come back, he came back week 9. Starting in week 10, the defense really started to improve, but you also saw Seattle start to stop letting Russ cook, and they brought out the microwave. And Russ is just heating up things because weeks 1 to 9, 59% they threw on early downs. From week 10 on, that dropped to 52.5%, about a 6% dip in early down passing. Since week 10, the average score for a Seattle Seahawks football game, Seattle 22.7, the opponent 15. Now, you're looking at a San Francisco team that, Friedman mentioned it, they're without their top 2 quarterbacks. They're starting C.J. Beathard. They're without their top running back in Raheem Mostert, who is a lock for like 5 yards a carry every game. And you're without your top 2 wide receivers in Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk. George Kittle playing around 60% of the snaps. And on top of that, and this is a big one, you also have left tackle Trent Williams out. And he's the number 1 left tackle, according to PFF. He missed a game earlier this year where San Francisco was in a similar situation against Green Bay, and they just couldn't score. So I love this under. I have it projected at 43. I think the market's off in a major way. And that's been the trend with Seattle since October. The market's been off by about 6 points on 3 to 6 points per game on this team's totals. So I like this under 46. Seattle, San Francisco. San Francisco is going to run. Seattle is going to let Russ microwave it up and go to the playoffs.
Can anyone make a case for their bet over Friedman or Raybon's bet?
I would go with Raybon. I like that one. Plus, I don't want you backing me. That's the bigger part of it. But Raybon's he's right. That's a good one.
I don't want to back you either. I am going to go with Raybon. I was initially going to go with the Jets Pats because that's the only way to bet that game is to bet the under and root for nothing to happen. And that way you don't even have to watch it. It's the game when you're watching Red Zone that you hope you don't see a single snap because they play from the 20 to the 20 the entire time. I am going to go with the Seahawks and the Niners under 46. My 3 best bets from Convince Me right now: Zach Ertz over 32.5 receiving yards. I got the Rams at pick. I think I take the Rams all the way up to probably -2. And I got the Seahawks and the Niners under 46. Katie, give me some last minute updates.
Okay, I have a really quick stat for you before Ravel closes this out. Heading into today's games, over-unders over the past 2 regular NFL seasons are an even 245, 245, and 6. Going over the total, just 0.87 points per game, so less than 1. The best team to the over has been the Titans over that span, and the best team to the under has been the Rams.
Interesting. All right, Dan Ravel, what do you got?
Rarely do you see at this point in the day, a wide variance in a line, but we do have that right now with the Cardinals and the Rams. At MGM and PointsBet, it's Cardinals -1. At DraftKings, it's Cardinals -0.5. And at FanDuel, it's Cardinals +1. Not a big deal, but almost every line is the same at 11:25 Eastern time, and that's not the case here.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, that you play around that 0 and you're not sort of getting that much of a delta. You're sort of in a weird dead zone. But look,
Right.
you're
You
right.
just go to the money line if you believe in one. I mean, you just go to the money line if you
exactly.
keep it
And
down.
normally at this time of day, like you said, it's 11:25. It's the most exciting window in sports. Normally, every single book is locked across the board. You're getting nothing but sameness. So a little variation. That's interesting. This has been Convince Me from the Action Network. Once again, my 3 best bets as convinced by Chris Raybon, Matthew Friedman, and Sean Corner. Zach Ertz over 32.5 rushing yards. Don't forget, reply to at Action Network HQ. You can win some money if you tell us the exact number of receiving yards Zach Ertz will have. I like the Rams at pick. I like them all the way up to probably -2 as that number continues to move. And I like the Niners and the Seahawks under 46. This has been Convince Me for Chris Raybon, Matthew Friedman, Sean Corner, Katie Richcreek, Darren Ravel, our entire Action Network crew. Have a winning day, folks.